This Shabbat we have the unique experience of taking out 3 Torahs tomorrow morning on Shabbat and reading from them, because one Torah relates to the portion of the week which is Miketz. We're reading about the story of Joseph. Second Torah we read about the festival of Rosh Chodesh, it's the beginning of the new month. And the third Torah we read about the festival of Chanukah, which we are presently celebrating. So when we take out the Torahs, 3 Torahs from the Ark to read from, it's an opportune moment to open up our hearts and ask Hashem to fulfill all of our deepest heart's desires for good, for the healing, for the joy and the well-being of our people Israel, and for the world. On Chanukah we light the menorah, and we are told to light the menorah in our homes, but that they need to face the street. The light of the menorah should be seen from the outside of our homes. The light should spread and overflow beyond our windowsills. In fact, if one walks through the cobblestoned alleyways of Yerushalayim, one sees this magnificent sight of every single window framing menorahs, number of menorahs, beautiful light shining into the street. Some people even light their menorahs in a glass case in the street itself. The light of the menorah has to impact on the outside. The story is told of a person who was collecting for poor people who were suffering from the cold in winter. And he knocked on the door of a mansion, and the butler opened the door, tried to usher the rabbi into the home. The rabbi said, "No, please, I must speak to the owner of the house here." And he persisted until eventually the owner of the house gets up, goes to the doorway. He's not dressed for the cold, he's freezing, and he keeps telling the rabbi, "Please come inside and we'll talk over a cup of tea at the fireside." And the rabbi persists and says, "No, we need to discuss the poor people who need blankets for the winter." And eventually the rich man dedicates a lot of tzedakah, a lot of charity for the needs of those who are poor and cold in winter. And then eventually the rabbi follows him into the house. And the wealthy person turns to the rabbi and says, "Why did you do that to me? I was freezing cold. I wasn't dressed for the cold, standing in the doorway. Why didn't you come in when I asked you to come into the home?" And the rabbi said to the wealthy person, "One cannot understand the need of those who are cold in winter when one sits at the fire in the inner sanctum of one's home. One needs to understand and experience the cold in order to know how to give to those who are experiencing the cold. We need to be aware of what is happening beyond our windows. And there is a special mission responsibility for each and every one of us, both spiritually and physically. We are told by the Baal Shem Tov that a soul can come down to this world for 60, 70, 80 years, merely to do a favor to another human being, to lift up another human being, to bring that person something of a physical need that that person is deficient in, might be the reason why my soul came down, whether it be physically or spiritually. And lighting the menorahs at our doorways or in our windows so that they can be seen on the outside reminds us that yes, whilst the glow of the menorah and the message of the menorah, of Jewish continuity, of Jewish commitment to radiance and brightness and light, and Pirsum and Nisa, magnifying and publicizing the miracle of Hashem that He did for us on Chanukah, it needs to overflow our windows, to extend beyond our doorways. We need to understand the needs of those who are out there in the street that might not be so aware or so able-bodied or have what we have, both physically, that there is no wealth that is surrounded by poverty. We cannot be content with our own accomplishments and achievements in our physical well-being if there are people beyond our doorways that are in need. We need to be aware of what lies beyond our windows when it comes to the physical needs of others. We also need to be aware of the spiritual needs of those beyond our windows. Are we doing enough to ignite another soul, to touch another human being, to lift them emotionally, spiritually, to bring them the fulfillment and the beauty of our Torah? Let us not create isolated entities of our personal success. Let us always be aware and committed to bringing the light to the street beyond. There's nothing in life that we own more than that which we are ready to share. Have a beautiful Shabbos, a beautiful Rosh Chodesh, and a beautiful Chanukah.